Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the CDL podcast channel. In this episode today, we're doing the Wordle as always. We're updating the power rankings, and nothing might be moving there. And then we're going to talk about the matches from the previous weekend, talk about the state of some of these teams that are really bad, and then doing our pick'ems for the final week of qualifiers as we ramp up to Major 2 next week. If you guys enjoy this one, be sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe on YouTube. If you're on the audio platforms, drop a follow, drop a 5-star review. Brock, we did very well on the Wordle last week. What was it? 3-2 for Crim?
I believe it was
3
3.
for Crim. Let's see if we can beat it. Your first guess last week was pretty good. Let's see where you're going this week.
Oh, man. Should we go for a harder guess, I should say?
Yeah, where are you thinking?
I think we should go. I think we should go. We should start with Crimsix this week.
Even though he was the person last week, he's just got more wins and more rings than anyone. We're making it harder on ourselves. So yeah,
Yep.
basically he could be literally be any player almost
Anyone?
ever. Also, Crim definitely has like 38 wins. It's weird that it says 34. Wonder what they count.
Yeah.
30 less than 34 wins. He didn't play for the only thing we can really go off is he's American and he played not for Dallas or NYSL. So this literally could be anybody. Let's go a younger player. Let's go Temp.
I like it.
Donnie Temp. Okay,
Ooh,
no rings, no wins. He is 25, so he's a bit of. I mean, he's been around. Didn't
25
play
no
for
rings.
Paris, NYSL, Vegas, Paris, Las Vegas, either the Legion versions, NYSL or LAT. We shouldn't have guessed Donnie. I just blanked that he played for NYSL and MW19.
Wait. Is this Mox?
Uh, no way Mox is only 25, right? I'll guess it just for the hell of it. Wow, I honestly, not gonna lie, I thought Mox is older than 26. Oh, I forgot he is. Yeah, he got a win, I believe, with Florida Mutineers online.
Oh, yeah. Damn it.
So 25, no wins. I honestly, I'm shocked. Mox is only 26.
25 no wins.
Dude, that's such an old player. I was gonna say two real, but he played for Florida and Paris or Vegas, one of the two.
Exotic, but I don't think the Exotic playing the CDL.
He's Canadian too, I think.
Yeah.
And I don't. He might have been a sub in the CDL or something. I was gonna say no. Gunjar's way older than that, and he's Canadian too, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, 25-year-old with no wins. Hang on, wait. Oh, he played for Florida. I was gonna say Vivid. I want to see Vivid play with a lot of players. Let's guess Vivid to see if he was on his team.
Do it.
Okay, that was actually a productive guess. Vivid, he's played for LAG and he was teammates with Vivid. Who was Vivid's teammates on LAG? Vivid joined LAG, like they picked him up in MW19 with like Lacefield and Aches and
Was that
who else is
Assault
on
on
that
that team?
team? Yeah, Assault's got a ring and a win though.
Yeah.
Lacefield doesn't have any wins, but there is no chance that Lacefield is
LAG.
25. He's way older than that. Decimate? I
We
think he
try it.
technically played for NYSL though. But he was on that team. I think he technically played for NYSL. He was teammates with Decimate. Dude, should I just guess, is Lacefield that young?
No,
No
he's that
way.
young.
No way he's that young. Yeah, I guess Lacefield. It wasn't him. He was teammates with Lacefield though too. So he was literally on the MW19 team.
Oh, that's so glad you did not watch that year.
Dude, who? So Aches obviously it's not Aches. Lacefield, Decimate. We guessed. Vivid was on that team. Dude, they picked up another younger player. Who did they pick up? Oh my god, they picked up another younger player that year. They had because who was their starting I'm like blanking on who their starting roster was. It was Aches, Lacefield. Did they have Assault? No, Assault was on Rocker.
I like literally don't know MW19 like at all.
Dude, it was Aches, Lacefield. They had Vivid. They had
Fame? Yeah, I think Fame's 25.
yeah, he was definitely never on that team either. That MW. I literally can't think of anybody else who's in that MW19. I'm like blanking.
Is it Fame 25?
He's older, but he definitely was never teammates with Lacefield.
Yeah.
Because Lacefield, I don't think Lacefield ever was on another roster except that MW19 LAG team. And I'm like completely blanking. Dude, this is bad. Bad for the video. We're stuck.
We're stuck on whoever this player is.
Dude, I'm just trying to think. Who else has been on the history of their roster? They had Saints was on their team, but there's no way Saints is 25.
Yeah, he's gotta be older than 25.
Like
Basically? No, he's probably older.
Aqua was on their team. Is Aqua 25? No way. Aqua's got to be older than that. Low
Gotta
key,
be.
Spart might have been on their team, but he has a win.
Yeah.
Blast? Oh, Blast could actually be that young. He was on that team. Blast was on the team.
Flats?
Yeah, Blast was on that team. I'm putting him in.
Yep.
'Cause he definitely joined that team or
Put
was on
it
that team.
in.
Okay, there we go. I was like, Aqua was on that team. That's who I couldn't think of the other player. It was Aqua that was on that team. Yeah,
Yeah.
okay, so it was yeah, we're good. Blast. Jesus. That was
That
not
was
ideal out of us. But that is also MW19 is a year I try to forget.
yeah. I mean, I don't even remember even, like, watching the CDL that year. That's how bad the game was.
Yeah, it was before before you ever were involved with podcast or anything.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and it
The one
was
thing I
I started the podcast like partway through MW19 and it was like the worst I wish I would have started it in BO4 because the game was incredible and then it was like MW19 I started it and oh my god, that game was bad.
yeah. The one thing I remember about NW was the 1v1 with, TJ and Envoy.
Yeah, that champs.
Yeah.
Yeah, I watched like it wasn't even like there was like no major tournaments even. It was just home series all the way until champs. Like there wasn't even like cool, like fun, big tournaments. Like it was just all home series with 8 teams at each tournament. And they're like that year is a year to forget. Man, that year sucked. It was the only reason I watched was because I started the podcast because I loved watching every year before that. And then I was like, oh my God, am I gonna be able to do this? And then
Mhm.
I started doing it with Kyle and it was like it took off from there. But my God, that year was that was the worst year ever for in terms of competitive.
Yeah.
But Brock, on the screen, we've got our power rankings. These, if you're looking at it, you're freaking out, you think something should change. These are our power rankings. We always start with the ones from last week on the screen, and then we'll make updates to it. But this week, Brock, I think we're just going to talk about matches because you and I were discussing it. I don't know that we're going to be making any changes to the power rankings this week.
Yeah.
I
It's
mean,
looking like that.
we'll go through it. Like, there maybe are a couple spots where you could like flip a team or two. Like the one we talked about was maybe moving Ravens ahead of Vancouver. If you're looking at our power rankings and you're thinking they should, I don't have a problem. Would you agree? Ravens they could go ahead of Vancouver,
Yeah. I'd
but
say so.
like Vancouver had a tough loss this weekend to LAT. Look, they're our number one team. I don't necessarily know that that warrants them to just get flipped out. Carolina had a nice win, like Toronto. They steamrolled OpTic, but everybody does that now, so that's not a huge accomplishment. So I think they stay
Yeah.
put. Like Cloud9 had a nice win as well as a loss, so they kind of stay there. Rocker got like steamrolled, but once again, it was phase, and they've been pretty good against a lot of the other teams, so keep them there. Heretics had the nice win. Against OpTic, which once again, I don't know how much of an accomplishment that even is anymore at this point. But they did
Yeah,
fall to
used to
Vancouver.
mean something.
Yeah, we were talking about how we wanted to move Boston below OpTic, but after the performance this week, Boston at least put up a fight against FaZe, and honestly, probably should have won against
Yeah.
FaZe, like which is a major accomplishment. And even that was with Snoopy not playing that well. They got rolled by Thieves, but like OpTic, I don't even care. I'm keeping them ahead of LAG. LAG won this weekend, but it was against Falcons, just like the OpTic match against Falcons. Can we even really count that for anything?
Yeah.
Um, it's Falcons. OpTic beat them. It didn't count for anything. They did 3-0 Falcons, so maybe they are better than OpTic. I don't know, but they're OpTic's last win, aren't they? OpTic beat them, I believe, at Major One in losers bracket, and I don't think OpTic has won since.
Believe so?
Well, besides Falcons, but once again, they don't deserve any credit for
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
But let's go team by team, talk about their matches from the previous weekend, and then just to like wrap up the power rankings. We'll go through this, and then do our predictions. But we'll spend a little time on this talking about the matches and players and teams and all that. But Falcons, Brock, same thing as always. We don't. They got beat 3-1 by Toronto. Wasn't competitive. They did kind of they were up 5-0 in the search, and were
Mhm.
able to win that 6-1. They got 68 points in map one. They got dominated on the control. 3-1 is even closer than that controller was. Exodus was just like pub stomping for like a round or two. and got them a round win, and then they get beat on Skyline. Skyline's like the one hardpoint map they at least keep close because it's just such a bang out.
Yeah,
And then they lost 3-0 to LAG. I mean, we don't need to spend time on Falcons.
yeah. Hardpoint's rough. Don't know if that would win this whole year, but,
Yeah. This was,
I
I mean,
mean,
this weekend was the LAG seemed to be their chance. Like
yeah.
OpTic might have been their chance at the minor, but they weren't able to get that done. So that's so crazy. Would you ever thought we'd be saying Falcons? Their chance was to beat OpTic.
Yeah.
uh, but like, anyways, Falcons like this was probably their chance. LAG has looked so abysmal, and they did come out and like they had there was a moment where they had a chance. I mean, the skyline like after Hill 9 here, if you look at like the little chart on Breaking Point, it was 214 to 199 LAG. Even if you look at the end of Hill 8, it was 197 to 174. They were winning. Like
Mhm.
this was their chance, and then they just blew it at the end. This was their chance that they win that because then, they lose in a round 11. They were up 5-4 and they lose in round 11. So they threw the first two maps and then they just I mean, they lose the control, which is just I mean, Dahum went 7-21.
Yeah.
Wixel went 8-15. Like you're not gonna two players had single digit kills. Like
Mhm.
but that this might have been their one chance and they didn't win it. So I mean, I don't know what their schedule looks like. I'm not gonna spend the time to look it up going forward over the next few
Yeah.
stages of who they play. But like
Probably guaranteed a loss.
yeah, that I
Might
mean, that
win a
was
map here in win or 2.
I mean, LAG were obviously the favorite in the match, but, like, of all their chances to win a match, that might have been their best one, maybe for the whole year.
Yeah.
Then, Brock, we got LAG in 11th, which once again, if you wanna put OpTic below them, neither of us are gonna argue. Both teams are just abysmal right now.
Yep.
LAG beat Falcons this weekend, but, like, we don't really need to
We're
talk
not
about that.
surprised,
They
really.
did a I mean, they role swapped, like, Linz to
Yep.
an AR, Priesta to a sub, but, like, I don't even think we can, like, take much from that, like, in this series because like and once again, it's Falcons, like, any role swap, they would've won with it either
Yeah.
way. Like,
Would anything they would do. There's out talent they talented them.
I
Diff
mean,
them.
because in the, C9 match, Brock, I mean,
That's a red carpet, I see.
a red carpet and a bad red carpet. I mean, it's not like you have some .95s in there, some guys dropping around to 1. Everybody's a .7 and Kismet's a .84.
Get
Attach and Sib. I
rolled.
mean, Sib was world starting. Like, Sib
Yeah.
almost
Oh,
shot to 2.0 in map
Jesus.
1. He had a 1.6. I mean, he had a 1.2 in the search. Sib, you were just watching the series, and it was just a talent diff. Like, they were just
Mhm.
gunning.
Yep.
Attach was frying with a 1 point. I mean, whenever you want to go out and say, one of the guys on C9 had a 1.57, and he was second on his team in KD for the series. That's a wild stat.
Yeah, that usually means you're just, pooping on them.
Yeah, like rough, rough from LAG. I mean, they're a team that's also really not worth talking about until they make some improvements or make some more changes. But
Yeah.
um, like a lot of people are saying, there isn't a ton of changes to be like. There aren't a lot of. I mean, like once again, this is from what I'm seeing on Twitter. What I'm like, just hearing overall sentiment from the community. Doesn't seem like there are a lot of players because like there are a lot of teams like OpTic could obviously make a change right now. Like could be needed, but like it sounds like there are a lot of people that are saying there aren't like shoe-in pickups because like the only like former players, like former pros or like that are like kind of top in challengers right now is what a lot of people are saying. Once again, I could be maybe not fully accurate in this because I don't follow challengers as much.
Mhm.
Um, like I just kind of hear about the names and I'll watch some gameplay of them if they're gonna get picked up or something. But like we're hearing a lot of fellow and like fellow's kind of been there, done that. So maybe some people don't want to pick him up. But I mean, I think he's a very good player, could help a lot of teams. And then obviously Huke, but who knows? Like he might be selective because like the odds are Huke is going to be able to get on a team, before champs or like before major three qualifiers even starts. And like I can't imagine Huke wants to join just a completely terrible team because he'll probably have options to join at least a semi decent team.
Yeah.
Can't
At least
imagine
a
he
team
wants to
that's
join
in
a
the race.
yeah, or maybe go back to OpTic because they're terrible right now. But he has had a lot of success with shottzyy. So like if he's able to get back on that team, maybe he wants to do that
Yeah.
considering he's won plenty of tournaments with shottzyy and got plenty of finals appearances on OpTic and all that. Um,
Yeah.
and speaking of OpTic, Brock, they're our next team up. They are 10th in the power rankings. It's unbelievable at this point. Like going into this year, if you'd have told me OpTic was gonna just consistently be bottom two, bottom three in a league with Falcons, I would have been like, what? Like, what went wrong? Did like the players in the team die like after winning the world championship? What happened? But
They
that's where
went
I mean,
missing.
OpTic they're just horrible. Every player on the team sucks right now. I mean, you've
Yep.
got who can't seem to win a gunfight. You've got Dashy who somehow can't seem to win a gunfight either, which is, I mean, I think like he's shooting like he had some pieces against like heretics in the map one, but like when have we ever been able to say like Dashy can't seem to consistently win like gunfights? Like same with I mean Kenny, same thing. Like before this year, Kenny has always consistently been able to win his gunfights. Can't do it. Kenny can't win a gunfight this year. Dashy can't win one. Fred doesn't know where the hell the other team is. Like that is one of the worst things I've heard. When the CDL did that segment, I was like, oh my god! Like when they deep dove into it, and I didn't necessarily like I don't know like I didn't hear that in the initial, just because like I don't know I was busy during that match and I was like watching and I wasn't like fully paying attention to the listening
Yeah.
and like that is a crazy comm. Like, that's a comm that you might hear in ranked play or playing with your buddies because, like, we're not studying the game every day. Like, oh, where'd they spawn? Like, if somebody knows.
Yeah.
A pro player asking their teammate, because Kenny called it out before too. He's like, hey, he's gonna spawn dark. Like,
Mhm.
and he called it out. He knew the spawn. Like, he is doing his job as the IGL, and Pred is just like, where are they gonna spawn, Ken? Like, like
That's just
as a pro player,
that
playing
should not
however many hours a
happen.
day scrimming, getting in your extra reps and eights, watching VOD, like, there are limited spawns, like, I mean, even us as people that play rank play casually and are not practicing and studying the game every day, like, the few spawns per hill that you can get, but just by playing the game, you just learn them.
Yeah.
There's usually a back spawn, there's usually, a spawn out or two, there's usually a parallel spawn, like, roughly, like, the 2, 3, 4 spawn points that are on each hill where people can spawn, and based on where your teammates are, especially as a pro player, you have to know where the other team is spawning. Like, of course, maybe, and especially with the way the games are nowadays, like you might get some really weird hectic spawns. You're not going to read it perfectly every single time, but like that's a rough clip. And then I forget what exactly happens in the clip again, but they go on to show like basically the whole team comms that like all the pressure's coming from dark and from that side of the map, and Pred's just laying in ticket, just staring middle. They see all four front. He's just staring middle. Just keeps staring middle. The whole team's falling. He's staring middle. Eventually turns around, Chal's old, like he wraps around, flips their spawns out, and then dies. Gets a meaningless kill. And it's like he didn't help his team on the hill, then randomly pushes a pinch and flips his team out, completely just screws them for the next hill. Screws them on the old hill on P5, then screws them for the rotation to P1 on a hill that's
Mhm.
right next to it, like a hill that you don't really need to like over rotate to, but he somehow flipped them and screwed them there. So you got Pred not knowing what's going on. You got Kenny can't win a gunfight. Dashy somehow isn't shooting it straight, and Shottzy's been like the only one maybe that like you could say has been playing like okay, but in terms of Shottzy, I mean he played decently well in the Miami series, but I mean, Shottzyy should be a superstar. To his standards, he's not playing at it right now.
Yeah. They're all
But
struggling in their own ways, and there seems of no signs of life happening
yeah,
whatsoever,
and
and
I don't think once again, I thought somebody said maybe there's a roster lock, so I don't even know if it's possible for them to now. I thought it was the Monday before the tournament, but I guess I think from what people were saying, like it sounds like the roster lock might be in effect now. So I don't even know if it's actually like unless like a obviously like an extenuating circumstance, like a sickness or like a player can't make it or something. I'm
Mhm.
pretty sure they're roster locked. So they're not gonna make a change before the event. I don't think they can. But I mean, at this point, unless they like have the literally most miracle run of all time and like make a Sunday or something from losers bracket, like they almost are gonna be forced to make a change if they get 3-0'd by both LA teams this weekend and don't win a map in qualifiers and then get 3-0'd out of the tournament, like and don't win a map the entire stage that wasn't Falcons, like
Yeah.
I mean, they're almost forced to make a roster change at that point. Like, I'd be curious what would have happened with this team if Pred would have never gotten subbed out and they were actually able to learn the game, as a
Mhm.
team for all those months.
Yeah. Man, it's just a mess going on, and I don't know, like I said, the probably needs a change, but who knows if they'll actually make a change.
Yeah, because like once again, if any other team's in the situation where they can't win a map, they're obviously making a change. But like this is like an unprecedented circumstance where the defending world champions, like it would be, you know what? It would be even like it would still be. I mean, anytime a defending world championship team can't win a map in the next season at any point, it's obviously shocking. But I feel like it would be like it would be even. It would still be shocking if they would have come into the year like in stage one and not been able to win. But like stage one, they lost their first match of the year, I think, to Boston, like 3-2 or whatever. They lost to Boston right away with Pred, and then I think they won a match with Pred, and
Mhm.
they were 1-1, and then he got subbed out for Huke, and it was like, okay, like at any point they were going to struggle, you would think it was then because like they have a new player coming in early on, they have to like remesh with the team after scrimming, all the weeks leading up to the season, like with Pred, maybe they would like fall off, but they ended up getting the number one seed with Huke. So it's
Yep.
not like this team just came into the year and like, oh, this game doesn't work for them. Like, remember like the first month or so, like stage one, like everybody was calling Dashy and Shotzzyy potentially the two best players in the game.
Mhm.
Like there was
Both
a
playing
there like
great.
it seems like it never happened because it seems like such a distant like you know what I mean? It seems like such a distant memory
Mhm. Yeah.
that like it seems like it didn't even happen. But there was literally a stretch in this game where every single person or like a lot of the community was like Shotzzy and Dashy might be the best sub and AR in the game, and they're on the same team. And like
Mhm.
OpTic was rolling. So I guess it would still be shocking if they sucked, but like if they would have came into the year and this just wasn't their game to start out and they were just bad, it would have been shocking. But like, okay, this just isn't their game. Sometimes defending world champion teams every once in a while, like going into the next year, they just aren't as good. Like obviously the World War II team that won when it went to 5v5, they weren't as good the next year. But that team obviously was kind of a little bit of a fluke, anyways. IW, that Envy team, they ended up finishing the year strong with a second at champs, but they were pretty mid the whole year. And I'm sure there are other examples, that we could think of.
Mhm. Yeah.
So like it wouldn't have been shocking if OpTic just weren't that good with the roster. But the fact that they started out the year with two players that look like MVP candidates and they were the first seed going into the major, and then this is what it's turned into. Like obviously they bottomed out at the major, but I thought they would just, you know, pick it back up and at least be decent. Like this is just unprecedented. Like
Yeah.
at
Yeah.
this point, I guess they could stick it out with the world championship team, but like if they don't win a map, they have to make a change at some point.
Yeah. And it's like, sure, if you bring someone else in, I mean, I would still bet against the 4 to, figure it out and by the end of the year, make the run for champs because I'm sure because when the 4 were on, like last year, they won champs.
Yeah, but it's like at this point, like this might, yeah. I mean, like I didn't think it was
It's
gonna be
just so
possible that
weird.
like it doesn't like it almost is like they keep saying internal issues aren't happening, but it's almost like they almost have to be or something, right? Because like this is like you can't even explain this. It's almost unexplainable how bad they are. And like people, I heard I forget who it was. It was maybe somebody on the flank, or maybe it was Octane. I can't remember, but they were like saying like it's so weird because like Kenny is absolutely horrible at this game right now, and like Pred is also just like terrible. And like we know OpTic are probably not going to get rid of Dashy or Shotzzy like ever, so that's kind of out of the equation here. But like
Yep.
it's like if they can't get a player that they feel is going to make them win right now, like OpTic almost don't want to like sell off
Mhm.
players like Pred and Kenny because like Kenny and Pred have been so good in like basically every other title.
Yeah.
So it's like
And
they don't want to necessarily sell like especially Kenny more so because he is like he's been around a while. Like I can see selling him off because like maybe he just isn't as good anymore, and you could like sell him off. But like a lot of people are saying, it's hard to just like sell off Pred because he's a young player who's been so good every other year he's been in the league. He's been
mhm.
so good. So it's kind of hard to just like sell him off. So like obviously the odd guy out here is Kenny because
Yeah.
he's been around for a while. Like maybe he's just not going to be as good anymore going forward or something. And like if they're going to make a change, I guess it has to be Kenny. But I don't even know. Like I mean, if you have a player like Pred on your team that doesn't even know what's going on in the map, like I guess. I mean, I trust by the end of the year, like Pred's going to figure it out, but it's got to happen soon. Like the learning curve shouldn't be this long.
Yeah. And yeah, it's just crazy. And yeah, I think I'd say they do drop one of them. They're likely maybe in their worry is like, if Kenny they drop Kenny and then Kenny starts doing really good again. That's the trade off.
Yeah, I do think whatever happens, like whether it's this year or next year, like I do think Pred is going to be back to like a superstar level, and I think Kenny's going to be back to a really good level at some point, whether it's this year or next year, or whatever. It's just like Opta can't. I mean, if they can't continue to win a map, they can't continue to like go forward. And I guess like even as like the biggest Kenny fan out there, like if you're going to keep one of the two for your team, it's probably got to be Pred, like long term, because you got to
Yeah.
figure he has more years left, and we've seen Pred. Kenny has always been a really good. I mean, when he first came onto the scene, like technically AW, I guess, but like in World War II when he was back, when he turned 18 and he was back, like he was a superstar level player and he's always had like that talent. But lately he's been on teams with so many good players that he's filled more of like Like he almost went from almost like the same career arc. I'm not saying he's as good as him, but like almost the same career arc as Karma, where
Yeah.
like he started out as like a superstar and then he kind of started to join the better teams where like he kind of started to fill like he could have been like a star still, but he filled more of that role player, kind of like Karma did with the Optic Dynasty. Like
Fill the
Karma
gaps.
still could have been a superstar player, but like they had Scump and Formal, and he was kind of letting them, be the superstars, and Karma was the gap filler. That's kind of the same career arc Kenny took. Kind of started out as a superstar, got on better teams, and kind of just like took over as more of a leader and gap filler and like doing all the stuff that they needed to win. So like if you're gonna keep one player going forward, obviously Pred's been like that superstar level player, so you're probably gonna keep him. But like, man, they're bad right now. But we should move on to Boston.
Yeah, they're bad. They're all are struggling. Let's see if they can get a map win this weekend.
Yeah, it's not gonna happen against LAT. I'll tell you that. Uh,
Yeah, you're not wrong.
Next team, Brock, is Boston. I mean, we don't even need to talk about their LA Thieves series. That was
They got
not close. They got
they
rolled.
got ran through.
I mean, Wake was the only one that shot back, and shout out to Wake though. He played pretty well this weekend. He's starting to shoot back like the Wake we're used to. 1.02 in that series against LAT. Only one positive for the breach, preventing them from a red carpet, and then a 1.08 in the series against FaZe, where they forced them at 5. They were able to win the Hacienda Hardpoint and able to win the Hacienda Search. Snoopy didn't play super well, especially like in the FaZe series. Like I feel like if you get a normal Snoopy series, they probably beat FaZe, which is crazy because Boston have been playing so poor
Yeah,
really since the LAN at Major One. Boston have just been poor. Um, Once again, they go 0-2 this week, but like everybody expected that. It was FaZe and
yeah.
LAT who they played, but they
Played
they put
two
up a
good
fight against
teams.
FaZe, and I mean the team still needs to make a change. I mean we saw it again this weekend. Like they will not be able to beat. I mean Purge finally had a good hard point in map 4 where they finally beat FaZe, where he was 30 and 30 um, with some good damage, but like I mean 3 and 8 in the map 5 out of Purge. Even in the map 2 that they won 4 and 5. In the map 1, 24 and 32 with a point 0.7. In the control, he's at a point 0.8. And in that series against uh Thieves, I forget what exactly was the numbers. I don't want to get it wrong, but he was getting trick shotted. I mean, he had a point 0.67 and like where is it? He was 28 and 30 in the map 1. What map am I thinking of? Oh, it was the control. Yeah, he was 7 and 24
Yeah, that's
with less
tough.
than 2K damage. I mean,
Yeah,
the change still has to be made there. Like, I don't know if they're ever going to make a change. With their financial situation, we've talked about it a bunch, but like, you gotta get rid of him for sure in at least one of the ARs. Maybe Wake starting. Cammy's also been playing like not the absolute worst in that phase series, but like once again, like Cammy has been overall like just whatever. Like
he's been
Purge is
meh.
change. Cammy probably Wake's been playing a little better. Maybe you give him the leash, but I don't know. This team's still like they don't move me at all. They're not a contender. They're not going to beat any top teams when it matters on LAN. Like
Yeah,
they're just whatever.
most definitely not.
I'm ready to move on from them. They're just whatever. they
Yeah,
don't
like
excite me at all.
like I said, a change is needed, but as we stated multiple times, the org doesn't seem to be going in that direction
No,
for this season.
no. And then Braga, the most it feels like besides their like crazy run to top 3 at Major 1, the most predictable team in the CDL is next at 8, the Miami
Miami,
Heretics. You
yeah,
know what? If Miami's one thing, we know what they're going to be. They are going to beat teams that are worse than them, and they will put up a fight against anybody better than them. But unless they're a team that's really close to them in the standings, they're not going to beat them. So that's exactly what happened. Miami are very clear in a way better than Optic right now, and they showed that they ran through Optic pretty easily. The map 1 was the weirdest red card ever.
yeah.
186 to 175, like nobody's getting hill.
Low scoring.
Yeah, like that was one of the weirdest red cards ever. They dominated him in the control, and the search and destroy. Optic was losing unlosable rounds in the control somehow. Um, it's the same sentiment every week. Rencor and Real are absolutely awesome. I still lucky at a point 0.7 against Optic. I mean,
Yeah,
like
that's that.
put in super. Like this team's floor is like they're gonna constantly be top 8 unless they get like a really tough matchup and losers round 1, and they're not gonna get much higher than like top 6. Like the top 3 was just a crazy run. Like That's not sustainable for this team. Sub and super for Lucky now.
Hmm. Yep. And it just seems like if Real and Rancor are both playing good, then it's like, oh, Metals and Lucky aren't playing good, or it's like Rancor's not playing good, Metals is playing good. They can't all four play good at the same time.
I mean, even in the series against Vancouver, 1.13 out of Metals, 1.16 out of Real, 1.0 out of Rencor, 0.87 out of Lucky, and he's just behind in the damage department too. Like he was lowest damage in the lobby in that series. Uh, he was what was he? He was lowest damage on their team in the OpTic series. He only had more damage than Kenny, which right now isn't an accomplishment. Like
Yeah.
he's holding the team back. Like they're I don't even like I said, I don't even know if they get any better with super, but you might as well try it because your ceiling you cannot win and cannot consistently place high with your current team. So just like sub and super and see what we got. Like they're
Yep.
a fine team with Lucky. Like they're gonna make champs and be consistently decent with Lucky, but like your ceiling is extremely capped with him.
Yeah.
And super is supposed to be a super talented AR, like throw him in.
Yeah. Well, what's it gonna hurt, really? Not gonna hurt
Yeah.
you anything.
Exactly. Then Minnesota, kind of a weird weekend for them to talk about. We didn't move them in the power rankings from 7 because once again they've been looking like pretty solid as of late. They played phase in it. The map one they had a chance to win it. It was close 250 to 234, and then the next two maps they were getting trick shotted.
Yeah.
I mean the
Unlucky.
Abizi was like assassinating multiple people in the series. He ended up with almost a 1.6 simp, 1.36 Celium, 1.27, and Draza just had his feet kicked up, 5,800 damage and a point 0.8.
Yeah. Yeah, and
Uh,
sometimes that's how it is when you play the top teams. When you're, a good team, is sometimes you just get run through.
yeah, but then what was the stat that I saw? I tweeted about it today. Gonna go find it quick. One sec. Tweeted about it today. It was the Toronto Ultra posted it. It was like a pacing leaders thing that the CDL put on the broadcast. Which shout out to the CDL. They've been doing like new segments and stuff that have been like more informative and good during matches.
Yep.
Um, but they posted pacing leaders, which is the hardpoint kills per 10 minutes in stage 2, as well as like their KDs. And Joe Deceives is the leader in. He's almost the leader in KD. He's right behind Hydra, but that wasn't the point of talking about this. In terms of hardpoint kills per 10, Estriel's third behind only Joe and Hydra.
Hmm.
And then Nero is sixth behind only Joe, Hydra, Estriel, Scrap, and Gwyn. So Estriel and Nero, third and sixth in kills per 10. I just wanted to give a shout out because that duo continues to be criminally underrated. That duo of Nero and Estriel is like I would like to see those two unless they get like an offer to join like a really good team in the offseason. I would like to see those two stick together as an
Yep.
SMG duo. I feel like they could. I mean, Nero had a bad series against FaZe, but been good overall in the year and was
Yeah.
insanely good and underrated last year. Like I would like to see those two stick it out with Geo as like a trio and see if they can, get like a really good AR to join them in the offseason or something. Because those three still like they're really good. And Paul, I mean, Paul is just not it.
Yeah. Ben St. Paul's not it. They need a good. They need a leader.
Yeah. Um. All right, Brock. Sixth, Cloud9. Uh,
C9.
they took out LAG 3-0. We talked about that. I mean, Sib in attached masterclass, it was not even close. It wasn't a competitive series. And then they do fall 3-1 to Ravens, which was a match we were really excited to watch. They lose both hard points. They win only the control. They got kind of outclassed, and this was not how I expected the series to go necessarily. I didn't expect them to get beaten 2 hard points because they have been looking pretty good in hard point lately. And
Yeah.
Ravens have been struggling a bit in hard point this stage.
Yeah. They flipped the switch here.
Yeah, but I mean, overall, like once again, Ravens are a team that are kind of like we have, like you see here, we have them fourth in the power rankings, just a little bit ahead of Cloud9. So like consider Ravens to be the favorite, but like Cloud9, they lose a match to another good team. But overall, like I'm still feeling positive about this Cloud9 team. Like they just ended up losing, a couple hard points, but I still feel, overall very positive about them because they're definitely trending up right now. Sid is playing out of his mind. He's been one of the best ARs in this stage after
Yep.
being one of the worst in stage 1. He had such a quick turnaround. Attach has been playing a lot better as of late too. I still have some questions about their ceiling because of the sub duo. Like sub duo is a bit inconsistent. Like if this team like performs poorly at Major 2 because, like, they had a bad online and a bad Major 1, and they've had a good online for Major 2, but if they bottom out at the tournament and don't play well, like, this is a potential team for huke, I feel like.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Like, I feel like it's a potential landing spot for him uh just because of, like, the subs are certainly not playing. Like, this is more how we expected the team to be going into the year. Like, maybe the subs would struggle here and there and be inconsistent, and the ARs would be really good.
Yeah.
Instead, it's been the opposite, especially in stage one. Like, the subs are pretty damn good, and the ARs are struggling. But Civ has certainly turned that narrative around, like we expected.
Yeah. Hopefully this team, can all players who play good at the same time, make a run.
Yeah. And then the only thing, Brock Ultra, we have them in fifth. I don't. The only thing I want to mention is Joe dropped a 2.0 against
Yep.
OpTic, but like I don't. Toronto, we keep them in fifth. It's hard to take away anything from Toronto this weekend. I mean, they beat Vegas and OpTic, which
Yeah.
right
Two
now
two
are
movies.
two of our bottom three teams, bottom two teams, even maybe. So I mean, Ultra to continue to look
Yep.
good. Like Joe is awesome at this game, like we expected. We've been on the Joe Deceives train for a long time, and he continues to look
We
really,
have
really good. And we've
for
been
a
on it
couple of years now.
since MW2 when he couldn't win a match with LAG. We've been saying how good Joe is.
Yep.
We've
And
definitely
I
been on the
believe,
Joe train before most people.
yeah, I believe he set the CDL record for KD
He
for the
said that,
series.
and I saw people saying that, but I thought I heard Octane was arguing that apparently in MW2 or something against like Legion or like somebody horrible, Octane was like saying he beat it, but I didn't see whether or not that was true. I thought Octane was like refuting and said he had a better KD in the match, but I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah. But nonetheless, Joe played just play rank play against Optic. That's all it
Yeah,
was.
yeah, basically.
Yeah.
And then in four, Brock, we talked about them a little bit. The Carolina Royal Ravens, they had their one match where they beat Cloud9. Just they continue to just be a really steady team, which is funny
Hmm.
because I don't even think they technically have winners bracket 100% locked up, even though they're 3-2. I mean, they're going to make winners bracket, um, but Carolina, they continue to just be really good. They're a super high floor team. They
Yep.
just once again, like they haven't proven they can beat the top teams. Like they've been handled pretty easily by LA Thieves, especially in multiple matchups this year. They just haven't proven they can beat the top teams. Whereas Vancouver's been a little bit more competitive. They've beaten FaZe multiple times, and they looked at least competitive in the minor against LAT. So that's why Vancouver's ahead of them in third.
Hmm.
Vancouver got beat pretty easily by LAT this weekend, and then took out Miami. And what was nice to see in the Miami series where they won was it was an 0-4 takeover, and Neptune
Love
had a
that.
point 0.9, but it was nice to see, like, even though Neptune had a point 0.9, he wasn't necessarily slaying. He had 11,000 damage, the most in the lobby. So it was nice. Like
Definitely
Neptune's,
helps.
yeah, he's still being impactful. Like he had a ton of engagements and a lot of damage. Like he's being an impactful entry sub. Like most engagements in the lobby, as well as getting a lot of damage. Like he's opening up the lanes for his team, doing his job, putting in a lot of damage, making it easier for people to clean up the kills. Like this Vancouver team is legitimately really good.
Yep. And sometimes that's how it is when you're kind of the entry. Sometimes you get a 1.1, or sometimes you get a point 0.9.
Yeah, exactly. And he's been on the side of getting the 1.1s or higher up until this
Yeah.
point, but I mean, Neptune's unreal. I just really want to see. I really hope this team doesn't go to LAN and just like struggle
Collapse.
and like collapse and place bad because if they go to LAN and they do get like a top three, they're as legit comes and they make the league a lot more fun.
Yeah.
Especially if we can see
Definitely.
Carolina continue to play well and Toronto continue to play well and C9 and Miami. And if Optic can pick it back up to even decent where we expect them to be, like that instantly makes it like eight really good teams. And then Miami is like pretty solid. And even Boston at times can be pretty solid. Then like if Optic can pick it back up with the level of players they have, like LAG and Vegas are really our only bottom
Yeah.
teams. But
And then if Vegas signs, gets rid of their 4 players and signs a superstar squad, they can get up there too.
I think that's funny. Vegas has like such a chance to go from worst to first at any moment because of how much money they have. They could just like randomly sign an absolute god squad and just like be good randomly any off season.
Yeah.
Then we just talked about 'em, Vancouver third, like I said, and then FaZe second, LAT first. I mean, I don't know what else you really wants to say. FaZe had a little bit of a scare against Boston, but they were able to clutch up when being down in the map 5 and winning that map 5, and then LA Thieves. I mean, they dismantled Boston uh, in that match, and then they dismantled Vancouver, which the Vancouver match is even more impressive because they have looked so good lately. It was a round 11 and a 3-2 in the control, but I mean, I picked them before, like before the stage started. I said my pick, like right after Major One, I said my pick for Major Two is LAT. Um,
They're so
and I
good.
continue to feel better about that because like Scrap has been like unreal. He's putting up numbers that like no other ARs are really doing, except
Hmm.
like Sib in this stage has been unreal. In terms of like the hardpoint kills per 10 though, like when you look at that list, it's Joe, Hydra, Estriel, Gwyn, Nero, Neptune, shottzyy, and Scrap. It's all subs and Scrap, which is crazy because like a pacing thing, it's usually going to be mostly subs. I mean, like subs are their role tends to be a faster role. So like usually in pacing things are going to be up there, but like Scrap is fourth ahead of Gwyn, Nero, Neptune, and shottzyy in terms of kills per 10.
Jeez.
But like that's not why I picked them. It's because I thought we could see improvement from Hydra, and Hydra has been like player of the match in like every single match for this team. Like Hydra has been unreal this stage. And
Yep.
like Ghosty is also playing well, and Envoy is even playing well. And it's just like when Hydra and Scrap are on, like it's gonna take like a team like FaZe to be able to beat this team. That's about it.
Yeah. And what also scary for this team is any one of these players at any moment can just go off.
Yeah, absolutely. Like they can even like there aren't a lot of teams like that where like it was like last year it was basically like your top four, like for the most part, like your OpTic, your New York,
NYSL.
your FaZe, like any player could take over. And your Toronto, I guess last year too. But like any of these players can take over. Even like Ghosty can have a takeover game. We've seen it. Envoy has had takeover games, and obviously we know Scrap and Hydra can take over.
Yep. So just out of the just scary team, and they're looking like they're gonna win the major.
Yeah, I mean,
The way they're
well, yeah,
playing.
definitely them or FaZe right now are the favorites for sure. FaZe is you can never count out FaZe.
Yeah. So we're gonna see LATs and FaZe in the major too. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, unless the bracket shakes out like really weird or like Vancouver can cause an upset like they have against FaZe a couple times online. Like, yeah, that's probably what we're looking at. But I got it on the screen, Brock. We're gonna do predictions. Um, yeah, this will last week. I mean, I did insanely well in my predictions. As you guys can see here, I got every single match right last week except OpTic Heretics. I should just pick the Heretics. Like we know OpTic's gonna lose. Maybe I'll be dumb again this week and I'll pick OpTic in a match. Uh, but this will do these predictions. And these are our last online predictions before the majors. So
Yep.
let's get into it. Vancouver Surge versus the
Ooh,
Toronto Ultra. This is a great match.
that's good.
I'm looking at
These two
this.
teams are good.
Every OpTic match is just fun to watch because it's like, oh my god, are they gonna win a map? I just like want to see what they look like. So that match is fun, and even the last match of the day, like we have an intriguing map set. Like I expect the OpTic LA Thieves map to be like an absolute blowout, but this Friday is fun. I like this Friday slate of matches.
This
Even
is a good Friday.
Sunday. What about Saturday? Saturday decent? Saturday is probably the
Yeah.
worst day. But
Yeah, it's gonna be a blowout
Friday
there.
and Sunday this weekend are like I'm intrigued by every match.
Yeah.
Where do you
Agreed
got?
here.
What do you think on Vancouver and Toronto? I wonder. Yeah, that's about what I expect. 55-45 ish.
Yep. Man, that's
Where
good.
are you
It's a
going here?
good match. I'm going in a 3-2, and I'm gonna go Ultra's way. I just have more faith in Joe C's
Damn you.
and the
I was
boys.
thinking that Vancouver are probably the favorite in this, right?
I believe so.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I would
Yep.
think they are. Like, we have them ahead of them in the power rankings. They've been a little better lately. I was actually going to go the same thing. I went 3-2 Toronto as well. I was thinking you were going to pick Vancouver, but I
Yeah.
got faith in our boy Joe too. Obviously, won't be. I would assume you agree. Wouldn't be shocked at all if Vancouver pulled this off.
Yep. These two teams are kind of like the same
Yeah,
at this moment.
they're both very they're two of our that's why I'm so intrigued by this matchup too. They're two of our really fun teams because like of our teams that aren't the top two, they're two of the ones that actually like on a good day, they're two of our teams that can upset the top two.
Yep.
Um so very, very, very excited to watch that.
Should be in for a good match though, definitely.
Yeah. And then Optic
Now the
LAT. I mean,
opposite.
this this shouldn't be a good match. I'm still excited to watch it because it's always fun to see like is Optic gonna look any better? Like what are they gonna do? Um I mean, and obviously I'm a Kenny fan, so I'm just like praying that he doesn't drop a point 0.6 like he has been every series, so I can have like something positive to say. But I mean, this might be something that might have to be taken off YouTube because it might get like taken down for like graphic content. Because I mean, OpTic
It's
might
about to
get
be
like OpTic might get. I mean, I'm assuming you're picking them 3-0 like I am as well.
3-0 LA Thieves.
Dude, the fact that it's only 81%,
Kind of shocking.
it's also kind of crazy that OpTic has beat them in 4 straight matches leading up to this. I mean, I guess not really because like all these actually I take that back. I mean, all these matches are last year when OpTic was definitely better than them.
Hmm.
And
Yep.
then the one match this year where Kenny had a 1v2 in round 11,
Yep.
that was like the last good moment for OpTic basically.
Yeah, that was a long time ago now.
The fact that that's 81% only, that should literally be like 99.9% and like only like their family is picking OpTic for that.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, I mean, not much else to say. I guess there was one thing that I forgot to mention about OpTic that I wanted to say. I heard them talking about it, like I heard Octane raging about it, and I was like, "Go get them," because this is one of my biggest pet peeves. I think you know what it's going to be. It's vetoes. Stop having an auto veto. Learn how to play a map.
Hmm.
OpTic have turned protocol basically into their auto veto, and that's what like uh Octane was talking about. They've picked Protocol 3 times and they're 0-3. They haven't won it. They're 3-2 on Hacienda. They're now 5-7 on Vault. But they just keep banning Protocol because it's their auto veto, and then teams are like, okay, we'll pick Vault against you because you literally can't win a Vault.
Yeah.
Like OpTic, for the love of God, learn how to play a different map. Don't have an auto. Like this is why you can't have an auto veto. You need to be a team that can veto based on like the other team's strength, or like maybe in a series if you're just way weaker, you'll veto it. But like that's what won EG World War II champs was having, just like having strategic vetoes. Just having an auto veto just destroys any strategy you have. Obviously, OpTic have way more problems than an auto veto, but for the love of God, stop having an auto veto. That's to every team.
Yeah. Learn
Like
the maps.
auto vetoes, like you can't have auto vetoes. Like you have to continue. Like obviously they're still working, they're still scrimming the maps, but like having an auto veto as a team is like the absolute worst possible thing you can have.
Yeah.
It just takes away so much strategy from you because teams can game plan for you because they know you're never gonna play that map. Like it's
Hmm.
one of my pet peeves. Having an auto veto is the worst thing.
Yeah. And why not just get good at every map so then teams are they're struggling and it helps you in the long run if you make
Yeah.
a champs finals or a finals. You play more maps.
Yeah, the map pool always comes to haunt you when you don't have a deep map pool, when you have to play more maps in those, best of seven, best of nine scenarios.
Yeah.
Um, But yeah, I mean, this should be a 3. Watch this be the time that OpTic gets their first map win somehow. Like
Yeah. Watch it. They
they're
put
the
it
best
together.
team in the game. They play the best team in the game, and they somehow win a map. Like it would actually be even more hilarious if they won this match. They have like basically, you can't really ever say never, I guess, because there's a chance, but like they basically have like 0% chance of winning this. Watch this be the one match they somehow win, and we're all just like, okay, I guess OpTic just beats Thieves, but they like struggle against Falcons. Uh, but I do not expect this to even be remotely close. They should get 3-0 pretty swiftly. It should be a quick series.
Yep. Agreed there.
Miami versus Carolina. I'm going 3-1 to Carolina. I have a lot of faith in this Carolina team. I expect Miami to keep this competitive like they do against most teams. Miami's going to keep this competitive. Rencor and Real going to pop off. It's going to be the other two that are not going to get it done for the squad.
Same here. 3-1. Miami, like you said, is always fight no matter what. They always get a map win, but maybe they won't win the map.
Won't win the series. Yeah.
Yep. I'm
Um,
serious.
yeah. Uh, Then we kick off Saturday with Miami again. They play Boston. 62% of the fans are on Miami, and I am in agreement with the fans on this one. I'm gonna say this one's gonna go the distance. I don't know why. I think Boston, they looked a little better against FaZe. Think they keep it close. I think Boston will take a hard point. Uh, I'm gonna say like Boston takes like 2-4. Boston is so bad at control, so it just
Hmm.
gives them such a disadvantage. I mean, what is their record now in control? I want to look at that again. I mean, Boston's control record now, as long as breaking points fully updated, is 4-13. I mean, they have one win on Hacienda. They're 1-4 or 1-3 on Hacienda, 1-4 on Protocol, and 2-6 on Vault. Uh, They are just so damn bad at control. They are 12 and 15 in search and 16 and 14 in hardpoint. I'm honestly kind of shocked that that's their like hardpoint is technically like percentage wise their best game mode.
I would have thought
Um,
search definitely.
yeah, and then I'm trying to look at Miami's control record because I don't feel like Miami is like yeah, Miami's 7 and 12, but it's definitely better than Boston's 4 and 13.
Yeah.
But I think we'll see like a I see the series going like Miami map 1, Boston map 2, Miami map 3. I think Boston forces a game 5, and then I think Miami closes it out in the game 5. They're both kind of just like mid to low mid search teams.
Yep.
But Miami also is their best game mode's hardpoint.
Yeah. And I think I have Miami as well. I just like the Real Rancor duo over this Boston team in general, so I'm picking Miami 3-2.
Yeah. Uh and then we have got Minnesota versus LAT.
Ooh.
Minnesota got world starred by FaZe, so it scares me from picking them to win a map. Because obviously, like at this point, like Thieves, their one weakness was Search and Destroy, but they've been looking a lot better in Search and Destroy lately. Obviously, we know they're the best control team and probably the best hardpoint team. The only team that can compete with them in that category is FaZe. But I would say pretty unanimously, like they're certainly the best control team.
Yeah.
And I personally think they're the best hardpoint team as well. Minnesota is certainly a good hardpoint team and a pretty good search and destroy team, and a decent control team. But I'm gonna say that Minnesota is actually gonna take the search. I'm gonna give them a map, but I don't know. LA Thieves certainly could 3-0 them.
Yeah. I'm kind of on board with you. I think not Miami, Jesus. I think Rocker, they do get a map here. I just think the team doesn't play just as bad as it did against FaZe in general. So that can
Yeah,
help them. I'm not really
yeah.
sure what map they're gonna get, but I just have a feeling they're gonna get one.
Also, Brock, this just shows the power of OpTic fans. 96.2% are on LA Thieves, only 3.8% on Rocker, and then against LAT, 18.6
Jesus.
are so about 6 times as many people are picking OpTic than picked Rocker against Thieves. Let me tell you, I don't think either team is going to beat Thieves, but Rocker certainly have the better chance to beat Thieves than OpTic right now.
The Optic fans, man. So too strong.
Yeah. Then we got Carolina 3-0 over Vegas. You agree with that
Yeah.
one?
Yeah. Carolina, yep. Nothing there really.
We got another 3-0 unless they're testing map pool. Phase over LAG.
Hey, didn't last time this kind of happened? FaZe played LAG and they lost 3-2.
March 17th, 2024. So yeah, I mean, damn near a year ago from the time of this match, roughly. I mean, obviously like a little earlier, but basically a year ago, and it was like at the end of the split, and LAG beat them 3-2 because FaZe was testing map pool. I'm pretty sure that's what that is. It's March
Yep.
17th, 2024 when they lost to LAG. I'm pretty
Yep.
sure that's what it is. But
Nonetheless,
yeah.
I'm picking LA and a FaZe to win 3-0.
Also, FaZe are sitting at the 2 seed tied with like plenty of other teams, which I was looking at the standings and it's weird. Like, we'll talk about it actually when we get to the next thing. But yeah, FaZe 3-0. But here we got OpTic LAG, two of our bottom teams, probably our 11th or our 10th and 11th team, whatever way you want to order it. And I was looking at the standings and I was like mind blown for a second because it says OpTic's in 11th. And I was like, how is that even possible? They like the Falcons are horrible, but they have 3 map wins. OpTic literally hasn't won a map. And then we were looking at it and we're like, okay, it's because OpTic's 0 and 5.
Yep.
Falcons are 0 and 6. So technically OpTic is better right now because technically the 0 and 5 record, even though they have no map wins, technically 0 and 5 is better than 0 and 6. So OpTic is ahead of them. But like we were looking at this and we're like, it's almost like OpTic probably has to beat LAG in order to yeah, they probably have to beat LAG in order to finish ahead of Falcons because odds are they get 3-0'd by Thieves, right?
Yeah.
So they'd be 0 and 18 map count going into their final one, and then like they would have 3 wins. Because like Falcons play Carolina this week. Their Falcons are probably going to finish 3 and 21 in map count.
Yep.
So if OpTic beats LAG, they'd be guaranteed because the worst case scenario, even if they 3-2'd LAG after getting 3-0'd by Thieves, they'd be 3 and 20. So they'd be 3 and 20 compared to 3 and 21. So if OpTic do beat LAG, they finish 11th, which is hilarious. Um,
That is abysmal for the Optic.
yeah. Are you going to be delusional with me and just like think OpTic's going to win this? 70% of the fans do. I think they're finally going to win in
I,
4. They're gonna
yeah,
win all 3 respawns, and it's just because I just like LAG is the one team that they can beat that's not named Falcons,
yeah,
but because LAG also just looks so abysmal, but, like, I'm just, like, picking them because 'cause I'm just like, "Please, they can't possibly be this bad where they can go 0-21 map count." LAG is probably gonna win, but I'm like, "Please, Kenny, just, like, go out with some dignity before you get dropped."
yeah. I'm also picking OpTic, but in a game 5 grueler,
I can't believe we're both picking them, it's so funny. Any other
you
team, I
you gotta think.
literally, if it was Boston on up in the stand, like, if it was Boston, Miami, Minnesota, Carolina, Toronto, Cloud9, Vancouver, FaZe, LAT, I'm picking that team. But
Yeah,
I'm like, "You know what? It's the one team they can beat. Why not? Just why not let it fly?" Cost me last week. It was the only one I got wrong when I picked them to beat Miami. Should have done that.
yeah, yeah. I would say, has anyone ever gone in a major like qualifiers? Owen, whatever it was.
No. No chance. I don't think so. I
If they do that,
maybe like it would have to be like Legion Vanguard, like or Vanguard Legion or like last year's Breach. But I don't think that they like lost every map.
yeah. And
I
the
would say
players,
it I would say no way, but like they're gonna Optic are probably gonna lose 3-0 to LA Thieves. And then
yeah,
like if this was any other team that wasn't LAG, like I said, like even if this was like a Minnesota, I'd be like, well, Optic are probably gonna go 0-21 map count. But like at that point, if they lose to LAT, I might almost be cheering for them to get 3
mhm,
0 by LAG because like it would be insane to see a team, especially like, that's gonna be, like, something that you look back on in, like, 4 years and people have kind of forgotten, what happened this year, and if they do go 0-21, they're gonna look at the roster and be like, "Pred, shottzyy, Dashy, and Kenny went 0-21," and it's gonna be like, if you weren't a watcher and, like, you know about what those guys have done in their career, you're gonna be like, "What the hell happened? How did they go 0-21 map count?"
yeah, yeah. I can't wait for the story. They go 0-21 in qualifiers and they win the major two. Can't
Because
wait
like, just
for it.
even just, like, imagine, like, going back to, like, I don't know, like, after, like, the Vanguard season where Dashy and shottzyy won an event, Kenny won champs, and Pred was, like, one of the top rookies in the game. Imagine, like, after that year saying, "Hey, like, in a couple years, these guys are gonna team, and they're not gonna win a map for an entire stage."
That is,
Like, people would be like, "What?"
I don't think they'll believe you.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Alright, Vancouver versus Minnesota. This is another really like, this day is really intriguing because once again, it's like, can Optic go 0-21 map count? That match is fun.
Yeah.
And then Vancouver, Minnesota is a really fun match. I'm gonna go Vancouver win in a game 5 and Minnesota falls, but I really think that this could go Minnesota's way. I don't know why. I don't know. I don't know. I'm gonna take Vancouver 3-2, but I really something's telling me Minnesota might win this one.
I'm gonna switch mine and go. I'm gonna go Minnesota 3-2. I
I
just
like
think
it. That's feeling right in my head, but I don't know.
these these teams bang out maps, and Game 5 has written all over it.
Yeah, I really like to pick because I once again I don't know something in my head is telling me that it should be I should pick Minnesota, but I'm not doing it. I'm not listening.
Yep.
Um, then our last match brought Cloud9 versus FaZe. Last time they played January 26th, so pretty early in the season. FaZe won 3-2. That was their only time playing. Cloud9 have like, especially against like LAT recently, like they were able to like keep maps like close, but they weren't able to like win any. FaZe, I do think are gonna win, but this is another situation where like if FaZe has it locked up, we've seen them do it plenty of times where they test map pool
Mhm.
at the end of a split, just to, like see how something's working. I think Cloud9 keep this competitive. Their Cloud9 doesn't need a win here either. They're 4-2, so they have winners locked up. It's not like this is gonna be like a desperation thing for them. I'm gonna take FaZe in a 3-1, but this could get a little interesting if FaZe is trying to test map pool, like I said, like we've seen them do before.
Yeah. I also have a 3-1 phased. I like the phases way. I was gonna say for the Vancouver versus Rocker, it's 73% of the fans picked Vancouver, which I kind of thought would be more closer than that.
I'm not like too shocked because like Vancouver like has looked really good. I mean, they like we said, they've probably been the third best team since like Neptune joined.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not like too surprised by that, I guess.
Yeah,
All right, you got anything
man.
else before we wrap this one up?
Man, I just hope OpTic. I hope they get one. Doesn't matter where they get. Gotta get one map at least.
I don't even know if I'm hoping for that. I was like, I kind of hope, but I almost hope for the memes they don't, especially because like, can you imagine a world where like obviously like they had that terrible major four and then bounce back and won champs? I'm definitely not like suggesting they're gonna do that, but like, can you imagine a crazy world where like they do somehow bounce back with this roster and like have something like wild happen where they like win an event or something? It would just be the memes and like it would just be hilarious. I don't think they're gonna do it. Obviously, I mean they're abysmal, but then again, a lot of us thought it would have been impossible for them to win champs last year after Major Four. But this is, I mean, this is a different level. This is even worse somehow than Major Four was last year because they were at least winning maps last year.
Yeah, they just can't win nothing. They don't know how to play a game. Don't know what's going on. Something's wrong.
Yeah,
I don't get
absolutely.
it.
But I'm excited for this weekend of matches. I mean, it's always fun like that last weekend. There are winners bracket implications on the line because I mean, like when you're looking at our standings here, like obviously you got LAT, FaZe, Vancouver, Cloud9, Minnesota all locked into winners. Um, with 4 wins. 4 wins is guarantees you. And I'm gonna say Carolina are locked in because their matches against Vegas. They're technically not because they have 3 wins, but we're gonna say Carolina is gonna beat Vegas, so they're locked in as well.
Hmm.
And then it gets interesting because like the teams battling for it, like technically LAG are battling for winners still because they could get to 3, but we're gonna go ahead and knock out LAG because they play phase. Um, so LAG, we're gonna say they have no chance. OpTic have no chance, and Falcons have no chance. So it becomes kind of a there's a 3-team race for the last 2 spots. It's Minnesota, it's Miami, and it's Boston. Um, so Miami gets Carolina, and if they lose that, then one of so Minnesota is cheering hard for Carolina
Yep.
on day one because if Miami loses to Carolina, then them and Boston would both be 2-4. So one of them is guaranteed to finish with only 2 wins, so I believe that would mean Minnesota makes it in. However, if Miami beats Carolina and then Boston beats Miami, it could get a little bit interesting, and I think there is a world probably where um, Minnesota's out if they lose both their matches because Minnesota has a tough weekend. Like they could easily go 0-2, LAT and Vancouver.
Yep. Two good teams.
But if Carolina beats Miami is like the best scenario in terms of like watching because that means that Saturday becomes a little more interesting because then Minnesota or not Minnesota, Miami versus Boston to kick off the day is for the last spot in winners.
That'll be good. Yeah.
So I'm hoping Carolina beats Miami because then yeah, then the Friday match is Miami versus Boston for the last spot in winners. Which I mean, how much of a prize is that? You're gonna just end up playing LAT. Like it's not really much of a prize. Like, but it is
Yeah.
winners. You get that second life.
Hmm.
And I think the loser that play the bottom seed, like the loser that might play the bottom seed, which is a big prize actually. If you get to drop to losers and play OpTic or Vegas, especially if you get to play Vegas, it's a big prize.
Yeah. That'd be definitely be get some momentum after that.
Yeah, but should be a fun weekend with the implications in terms of like how teams shake out with seeding. That 4-5 matchup could be juicy because we could be looking at like Cloud9, Toronto, Carolina, like 2 of those teams playing each other.
Hmm.
Um, if Vancouver does end up falling to like Toronto and Rocker, there's like a world where like they drop way down and they could be playing like if weird things happen, they could be playing like a phase or something.
Yeah.
Probably not because they probably fall to 6, so they'd probably be playing like a Cloud9 or a Toronto. But I don't know. Gonna be fun either way.
Yep. It should be indeed very fun to watch.
All right, that's gonna do it for this one. If you guys enjoyed, please be sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe on YouTube. If you're on the audio platforms, drop a follow, drop a 5-star review. We will see you guys next week with predictions for the major.